Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at the Walmart exclusive Marvel Universe Savage Frost Giant and Loki pack, featuring the Frost Giant with Loki. Loki, of course, will not be featured in this one. He's getting his own separate review. Why? Because he's the god of mischief, and, where I come from, that position still deserves a little amount of respect. Now this pack retails for 25 bucks, or at least at the time of filming it did. Not sure how much it might cost now. Also, at the same time, they released a Thor vs. Goliath pack. But yeah, let's get right to this figure. This pack comes with everything seen here, including the Loki, which we will not be talking about, the axe, which actually looks pretty decent, this skull helmet. Obviously it wouldn't do a very good job of being a helmet because it has a huge crack in it. And the Mighty Thor issue 175. And oh yeah, this giant frost giant over here. Kind of makes sense that he's called a giant. I always wondered why they called them frost giants. Now I realize it's because they're freaking huge. But yeah, interestingly enough, as opposed to the usual plastic bands that they use for a lot of these, we actually have a sort of, I guess a rope fiber. Not sure if it's just like specific material or the texture is different because it's like a twine or something painted black. It's also on the Loki, who we're not talking about. Okay, so everything up until this point was, filmed when I first unboxed the figure, got him out of the packaging, just sort of got a feel for how this thing is. Since then, I haven't really felt like reviewing him because he's something of a disappointment. I mean, that's not to say that the figure's bad, I'm not going to go that far, but first off, he has some crazy joint issues. Now, a lot of them seem to either stick or something, and at first I didn't even know that you could move the waist, but I was watching some other reviews, and they had waist articulation. I was watching one of JRA Nightmares once, where he pointed out that you really have to twist it on some of them to sort of break it in. If you look right here, I mean, it looks like the glue or plastic or whatever actually kind of fused the waist together, so I'm not sure if they even intended for the waist to move, but I kind of assume they must have. The other thing is, there seems to be like this one leg problem with, I believe, most people's. I'm not sure if it's everybody's, but you really can't get the legs to move out at all. It's like the joints have some sort of a crazy issue, and some people can get one leg going. I can't seem to get either one. I still get the rotation at the joint there, just no forward and back. And because of the skirt slash kilt or whatever, you can't really get at the joint. I mean, you can kind of force this up a bit just to see that you should technically have articulation there, but it's just nothing going. It's something that just really crazy bothers me. The other thing is, although he's got this really cool finger articulation on this side, and these are fully articulated fingers, all individual, completely awesome. Not the thumb though, thumb would have been gravy, would have been awesome, but other hand, nothing. And you really have to sort of force the plastic to get the axe in, which I haven't managed to do quite yet, but I can understand the logic for doing that just because over time the joints may sort of go a bit and, the articulate ones might not hold it as well, but I really would have preferred that both hands would have been fully articulate, especially whereas this one you can't really do anything with. Third problem is, it's just like if you're looking at him, frost giants, these are supposed to be a race of warriors, big, strong, tough guys. These are not the arms of big, strong, tough guys. I mean, when I see a frost giant, I kind of expect their arms to be like pretty jacked. So let me pull out the Marvel Select Red Hulk, and you'll see what I mean. Look at this arm. Look at this arm. This arm. This arm. Just not nearly as much definition of the bicep. It's just not nearly huge enough. And bear in mind that the Marvel Select Red Hulk is quite a bit smaller, so it's just a pretty huge consideration for me. Of course, I think the issue may have just stemmed from the fact that I believe that these figures are possibly retooled Marvel icons, or if anything else, they might have reused the arms from the Goliath figure, so that might not be why they're as big, or why they're not as big. As for the figure height itself, this is a solid 12 inches, which, was the height for the Icon series, I believe. Can't remember offhand. And on the plus side, that does mean that he scales with a remarkable number of things, especially because he's supposed to be an overly large character. First, here's the Marvel Universe, Modern Thor, so he's intended to scale with the Marvel Universe line, does so nicely. First appearance Spider-Man, once again showing that, he is a giant, he's huge. Now here's the Masters of the Universe Classic, King Grayskull. Again, it's just something that would fit in with like a wide range of displays and everything, which is a bit neat. Now, a lot of people have been commenting, well, I'm not sure a lot, but a few people have said this is like the retooled Build-A-Figure from the legendary comic book heroes. That's not actually the case. If you try to look up images for the cancelled Build-A-Figure of the Conan Frost Giant for the Wave 3 of the legendary comic book heroes, some of the photos will look a bit different, but the sculpt appears to be the same in, all of them. I think it was just that, they had different paints for, well, when it might have come out or something. I don't really know. But I mean, if you look at this and then compare it to what we received in the Marvel Universe line, the two just really don't even look remotely alike. Which of course is a shame because this head sculpt is just a lot cooler and, some of the detail on this is pretty awesome. It's something you really wish that they would have released in some way, shape, or form later on down the road, but, kind of sucks. Okay, so now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's get all this out of the way. Now, I mean, just one big area of difference is the fact that this Frost Giant is a lot more clothed, and, I mean, to be honest, if we wanted to look at half-naked blue men, I'm sure most of us would be watching the Smurfs right now. So, I mean, I'm definitely thankful that the character has quite a bit more clothing, even though, it has a completely different mythic vibe to it. In terms of detailing, all the armor and stuff, this isn't sculpt. They just tossed soft rubbery plastic on top. It's glued on so you can't remove it, but the chest plate, shoulders, and everything are just like that. This is a somewhat movable piece of plastic, the fur kilt here. So, I mean, it seems like it's kind of a sort of standard body build underneath that they just layered with some additional texture. And then, of course, new sculpt here on the legs and these crazy, crazy toes. This weird-ass ankle that looks like it's got side-to-side pivot, but it doesn't really have that much motion. Unless that also needs to be broken in, but I'm not going to try that. Now, the helmet, although it looks kind of goofy, just obscures the face, which looks a little bit even more goofy. It's not technically the face's fault, it's just that they gave him this really stupid looking grin and stuff, which you can't so much see while the helmet's on. Sort of distracts your attention from that, but head sculpt's really nice. I mean, there's a lot of detail and stuff, and sculpting that went into this, where the brow's like furrowed in and everything, and it's a really impressive face. I just wish they had done something else here, and then sort of painted on goatee. I think that's supposed to be a goatee. And it's kind of a weird choice there. The armor itself, although it's a soft rubbery plastic, it's got a ton of metal detailing. They tossed a brown layer, then a silver layer on top of it to, give it a sort of weathered, worn look. I'm less impressed by the silvery effect on the shoulders here, which I guess is supposed to represent snow, but I don't know, it would have really been nicer if they had gone with a more white shade. because it just looks kind of silly like that. And then of course this stupid kilt is sliding down because I was messing with it earlier. Show you that joint, which doesn't work so well. So I mean, detail-wise, just a lot of impressive paint up here at the top, and all these add-on parts, including the additional shadowing on the kilt. Not so much on the rest of the body, where the arms, I guess you do see a bit of paint depth and some hues and stuff there, but it's just not to the same extent. Then of course down here, basically the same detail as the kilt. In terms of articulation, just a quick run through here. We have individually articulate fingers on the left hand. No articulate fingers on right. The wrist goes forward back, which is nice, and then a point of rotation up here at the forearm, well obscured by his little bracelet. Single joint here at the elbow. Bicep rotates. Ball jointed shoulder. Because all this is a soft rubbery plastic, won't have much impeding it. Head only really rotates, it doesn't really feel like it has much up-down motion. Ab crunch, which is good at staring down at other characters who, of course, are quite a bit smaller. Imagine that, you'd probably pose them like that a lot. Just show off that whole size difference. Waist, 360. Legs should be able to go out and forward. Mine do not. They don't even go out a bit. Although part of that could just be the tunic impeding it. I know that's actually not the case because I've moved the tunic around. Double joint here at knee, double pins. At the nut ankle we have another pin joint. No real side-to-side motion. I mean, whatever you see here just feels like the joint's gonna kind of break. It doesn't really stay in place, so it's kind of fake. All in all, I was hoping for a lot from this figure, which I don't think that they quite delivered. Now, you can either fault my expectations for, say, being too high, or, there just are a few issues with this figure that I think most people would kind of agree on, especially where the joints are concerned, and probably also just the muscular detail, I would hope, where a lot of people would recognize the need that a character like this with this huge-ass armor and stuff really needs bigger arms. Oh, another kind of weird thing that I forgot to point out. I mean, given that these characters do have metal and stuff, why the heck are they running around with bone axes? Sorry, stone axes. Now, I mean, maybe you could fault my expectations for, say, being a little bit too high or whatever, but I feel that there are some pretty clear issues that they could have gone and corrected, such as the problem with the legs, which seems to be such a unilateral complaint that something like that should have easily been picked up in quality assurance. Other things, I'm not sure how many people agree with. Just the whole thing with like the muscular structure where, say, the arms should have been a lot bigger, especially because we have this character with this huge chest area and then just these tiny itty-bitty biceps, which bothers me quite a bit. But that might just be me. The other kind of weird thing is that I forgot to mention, if you look at the axe here, which, by the way, it's a cool-looking axe, but it's got a stone blade. Now, given the fact that these characters can obviously do stuff with metal, who'd run around with a stone weapon? I mean, they have metal, but they're choosing to go with stone. That just strikes me as being a little nuts, but, that might have been what they did in the comics or whatever. I mean, I didn't read a ton of Thor comics where they had them fighting ice giants, or, sorry, frost giants. But, I mean, just little things that I notice. All in all, I mean, for what it is, it's a really great price. Because you're only paying $25, you're getting a 12-inch figure, which seems to work with a lot of different things, as well as a smaller figure. Loki, not this scene here, reviewed separately. But, I probably won't be buying these as like a troop builder, mostly because they all sort of have the same crazy head. If the figure came with, say, an alternate helmet, it might have been one thing, or say some of them were packaged with a slightly different head, I could conceivably see myself buying a few of them, just to sort of bulk things out. But something like this, I think I'm just gonna stick with the one. And I'll probably work him into some displays or whatever, I'm not really sure. So, I mean, just all in all, bullet points, it's got an okay amount of detail, it's got some pretty decent paint, it's a really good size, it's a really good price, so, I mean, if you do see this in a Walmart, I imagine most people would pick this up regardless of whatever a reviewer would tell you, just because it does sort of have that sort of an impression. But all the same, just a little bit disappointed that they didn't go the extra mile. But this has been a look at the Savage Frost Giant from the Marvel Universe Walmart exclusive box sets. Till next time, folks.